Hi, my name is Jonathan Cachat, and I'd like to spend the next 5 to 7 minutes introducing you to my senior research, the social neuroscience of sex, human male-female similarities and differences from neurological biochemistry to social behavior. There are three main aims of this research. The first is to search for and apply a comprehensive theory of human nature, which is yet to be developed for reasons I'll explain. The second, to understand how culture and biology interact through ontogenic development or across an individual's lifespan, resulting in the uniqueness of each and every one of us. And lastly, to illustrate how social neuroscience can provide answers and guide the quest for both aims 1 and 2. I'd like to begin by defining sexual dimorphisms while also giving a brief disclaimer. Sexual dimorphisms refer to differences between males and females of a species in their biological development, cognition, and behavior, for which anyone who's been in a partner relationship with the opposite sex, their existence should come as no surprise. However, the most important thing to realize is that any empirically validated or statistically significant difference is at most very minimal. In fact, there are more similarities in all measures both within and between the sexes. So while dimorphisms do exist, they cannot provide the foundation for any gender or sex-based normative statement regarding ability or potential. All human children, with the proper nourishment and enlightenment, possess the ability to mature into fully functioning, successful, and even joyous adult Homo sapiens within one of those crazy cultures we call human life. The following quote by Melissa Hines, the author of Brain Gender, sums up this disclaimer quite nicely. Human beings, rather than simply being male or female, are truly complex mosaics of male and female characteristics. The rest of my presentation will address the three primary objectives, beginning with the intellectual history of the scientific inquiry and human phenomenology, or theories of human nature, while discussing the emergence of social neuroscience. In the Western realm, the classically canonized scientific revolution of the 16th century, paired with the Enlightenment and Romantic philosophies of the 17th, provided the seeds of contemporary scientific investigation and models of human nature. The growth of world system capitalism and the commodification of scientific inquiry after World War I solidified the academic institution into two opposing schools of thought, a split, if you will, between the natural and social sciences, each of which possess a unique intellectual tradition, various methodologies, and a particular vernacular for investigating, manipulating, and understanding phenomena within the natural world. Through a synthesis of knowledge and a utilization of techniques from each discipline's toolkit, the growing discipline of social neuroscience strives to bridge this perceived schism between the natural and social sciences, in order to develop a comprehensive and more accurate model of human nature and sociality. This quote by E.O. Wilson speaks to the goals of social neuroscientific research. The two disciplines have the following challenge. We know that virtually all of human behavior is transmitted by culture. We also know that biology has an important effect on the origin of culture and its transmission. The question remaining is how biology and culture interact, and in particular how they interact across all societies to create the commonalities of human nature. And one of the most important potential contributions I feel social neuroscience will have is a withering away of misguided debates about nature versus nurture. Throughout my career at Denison, I've come to develop what I call a dialectical model of human nature. Along the lines of this model, my senior research combines knowledge and analyzes research from psychology, biochemistry, evolutionary biology, sociology, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy in order to elucidate the origin and existence of human sexual dimorphisms. I'm now going to give you a brief overview of the sections within my paper, after which I'd like to share with you what I believe to be the most interesting and enlightening hypothesis I've come to develop during my research experience. Due to the fact that my research spans multiple levels of analysis, I thought it would be imperative to begin with a discussion on the evolution and physiology of the brain, which is shown in the first row of the pictures beginning with on the left with a mouse, then chimpanzee, and human, with an explicit focus on the cerebral cortex, visible as the purple stain on the coronal slices of row 2. The take-home message of this section is that human brain evolution is reflected by an increase in the complexity, magnitude, and plasticity of synaptic connections between neurons within the cortical layers, shown in row 3. Notice the differences between the cortical layers from amphibians, reptiles, across mammals, and ending with the human cerebral cortex. The connections within the cortical layers, especially within layer 1, are absolutely astounding. The external world is sensed and then perceived as information from the primary cortical networks diffuses across the matrix of incessantly active synaptic connections of the association cortices, reaching out and pulling away from each other in a trail of neuropeptidic communication reflecting the subjective mirror of experiential memory. This interaction within the drastically expanded human association cortices reflects the dynamic interaction of culture and biology, as ontogenic sensations and experiences manipulate the biological regulation that construct and maintain the cytoarchitectural framework of the cortical layers, developing what we would refer to as human nature. As a sexually reproducing species, in terms of sexual dimorphisms, the most explicit differences between males and females surfaces in behaviors leading up to and resulting in sexual reproduction. Traveling along the evolution and social progression of these behaviors from chimpanzees and bonobos to modern Homo sapiens, it becomes clear that sexual selection has been a major force within our natural history. In addition to this, I reviewed the differences and similarities in the physiology of puberty and the development of sexual orientation, attraction, arousal, and climax. From this point onward, embryonic development begins. As with most mammals, a human embryo is born with bipotent genitalia, having the possibility to develop into either sex. Although the precise mechanisms have yet to be elucidated, this section reviews the current knowledge on this process of sexual differentiation, highlighting the genetic, epigenetic, and hormonal influences. After birth, a child is born eyes wide open into a cultural matrix of a social interaction, exchange, and communication, and it's the duty of the child's parents to teach, instill, or enculturate them into their inherited culture. A social history of parenting systems and social dynamics has dramatic influence on our natural history, and it is here where I have found one of the most interesting conclusions to be discussed on the following slide. In regards to enculturation, this section highlights gender stereotypes, gender roles, and a number of cross-cultural analyses in order to hypothesize which dimorphic traits are remnants of our biological or social evolution, or therefore our nature, or those which remain solely based on cultural tradition, or one's nurture. There are a number of interesting theses I present in this section, but changes within the reproductive dynamics and social organization are what I find to be most interesting. In 1972, R.L. Trivels published a paper entitled Parental Investment in Sexual Selection. Within this paper, he defined reproductive behavior as a function of the time and energy to attract, woo, and copulate with a partner, or a person's mating effort, and the time and energy associated with raising the offspring, known as parental investment. As natural history would have it, the females typically invest more effort into parenting because they have smaller reproductive potential, and males invest more effort into mating or attracting females because they have a higher, meaning more frequent ability to reproduce. As a result, males across the animal kingdom have evolved traits to increase their competitive advantage with other males for receptive mates, such as competitive physiques and psyches. Whereas females have evolved traits such as synchronized menstruation, in addition to concealed ovulation, which suggests that these traits have evolved by human females are mechanisms to allow them to actively select for males who are willing and able to reduce their mating effort and de facto devote more energy to parental investment, perhaps even to the point of remaining monogamous. In his keystone work, The Genetical Theory of Natural Selection, Ronald Fisher proposed that sexual selection doesn't necessarily increase dimorphic traits, but could instead reduce the magnitude of dimorphisms between sexes. The fossil record of early hominids from Australopithecus to Homo indicates that during the past 4 million years, there has been a significant reduction in the magnitude of sexual differences in physical size, a threefold increase in brain volume, a doubling of the length of developmental period, and a disappearance of related species of Homo. Gary and Flynn hypothesized that this co-evolving suite of adaptations resulted from increased levels of cooperative parenting, or rather an increase in male parental involvement, which fosters and enables the developmental acquisition of socio-competitive abilities. In other words, it enables the process of enculturation, which I have previously mentioned, while also increasing the complexity of social structure and organization, providing the children with an intellectually stimulating environment and allowing the children to develop their full intellectual potential. The question is, what trait in males could females observe which told them that they would be good fathers? One of the most prominent cognitive dimorphisms between contemporary humans across cultures is that males, on average, perform better on visuospatial tests, whereas women, on average, perform better on verbal and communicative abilities. In regards to human evolution, males are typically viewed as often small hunting groups tracking and killing large prey for food. This behavior requires relatively little development of communication skills, but highly developed skills of hand-eye coordination and visuospatial abilities. Whereas the females remained at home base, forming coalition groups to maintain social cohesion and raise children. This, of course, requires highly developed verbal and communicative skills. A 1996 study provides evidence that the maternal genome contributes significantly more to the development of brain regions, the neocortex and striatum, concerned with not only the processing of sensory information, but with the anticipation, forward planning, and execution of these plans, whereas the parental genome influences more so regions of the brain important for motivated behavior, like sexual reproduction, found in the hypothalamus and septum. They concluded that our evolved ability to control behavior with thought and intelligence rather than circulating neuroendocrine levels has resulted from changes in the social dynamics, primarily being differences in selective pressures due to differences in parental lifestyles. In a 2001 meta-review, studies involving genes and general cognitive abilities reported the incidence of mental disability is 30% less than in males than females, or greater in males than females, and found that the X chromosome contains significantly higher number of genes that, when mutated, cause mental impairment. 202 X-linked chromosomes to be exact. Based on the principles of sexual selection that I've already discussed, they suggest that female adaptations to control reproductive behavior of males eventually led to a runaway process of evolution favoring the development of exaggerated sexual ornaments in the male, namely improved cognitive abilities blended from the female. Lastly, a 2005 study suggests that the X chromosome has been engaged in the development of sexually selected characteristics for at least 3 million years, and that natural selection has favored the development of X-linked genes that are associated with higher cognitive abilities. Ultimately, these studies provide the link for the genetic transfer of female social skills and to human males throughout the evolution as they increase parental investment. This, therefore, provides evidence for a social or cultural nurture trait that has now become part of our biology or nature across evolutionary time. Ultimately, this evolutionary history increased the species' social complexity and ecological dominance, providing Homo sapiens with the adaptation to outcompete their contemporary hominids, travel across Earth, and develop the global dominance of which we all enjoy. In addition, it lends to Melissa Hines' contemporary observation that we are all truly complex mosaics of male and female characteristics. I'd like to thank you for spending the time to watch this video and hope that you have found my points interesting. Please check out other things at my website underneath the academic site and email me with any questions. Thank you.